presentation is on beetle kill recovery. So I'm going to talk about what beetle kill is, how beetles infect trees. I'm going to give you some stats so you can get a sense of how severe it is. And then we're going to talk about how beetle kill is recovering and what we can do to help. So to start off, what is beetle kill? Bark beetles are these tiny, like rice grain sized little beetles, and there are lots of different kinds. The main kind that kills trees around Colorado are mountain pine beetles and spruce bark beetles, and also the Engelmann spruce beetles. And basically, beetle kill refers to any conifers that have been infected by these beetles and killed. And however tiny these beetles are, they can kill thousands of trees, and they have. So it's very deadly. Now, the natural life cycle of bark beetles has been compatible with Colorado's forests for however long these beetles have existed, so for decades. But mountain pine beetles are an invasive species that traveled over from Asia on wood packaging, and they were introduced to Colorado in about 2003, which is close to when the problem started. Climate change has also turned bark beetles into a huge problem, because now that weather is warmer, bark beetles can have 2 life cycles in 1 year instead of just 1. So originally, they would start out as larvae, and when warm weather started, the beetles would emerge from trees, and the adults would burrow into new trees and form out passages and lay their eggs there. And then winter would cut off their life cycle. So it was like a balance between the bark beetles and the trees, and it was healthy until climate change happened. And now bark beetles are very deadly because there are much, much more. So basically, the way bark beetles kill trees is they furrow in through the bark and they eat out these passageways and chambers called galleries where they lay their eggs. And as they do this, they spread a fungus called the blue stain fungus. And this will infect the tree's sapwood and cut off its flow of nutrients. So it kills the tree very quickly, in 1 season or less, and then the bark beetles can move on to the next tree, and they leave their eggs behind in that tree, and they keep multiplying, which is why it's become such a huge problem. So bark beetles have killed many trees in recent years. You've probably seen it. If you've ever been up to Wolf Creek or any high country town, you'll see trees up there have been much thinner in recent years, and you see a lot of dead trees that aren't wildfire. That's beetle kill. A lot of the times the needles turn red and then they fall off completely, and it'll leave these gray, dark, completely dead forests that are very susceptible to wildfire. So most trees are killed by mountain pine beetles, and since outbreaks began in 1996, 41.7 million acres have been affected across the U.S. and 6.6 million acres have been killed by bark beetles just in Colorado. And you can see this everywhere you go. It's a huge issue. So bark beetles look like they have been getting better because since 2013, bark beetles have slowly been declining. But this is actually just because the beetles can only attack older, mature trees. So younger trees are safe. But about 20 years from now, the problem will get bad again, and we'll have more bark beetle infestations. But there are things we can do to stop this. So, as you can see, at its peak in 2009, there were about 3.7 million acres in Colorado affected by the mountain pine beetle, and in 2013 it dropped to about 250,000. So it has been getting better slowly. But there are things we can do to make sure it doesn't go back up again. So in recent years, studies have shown hopeful recovery for beetle kill. And a study published in the Journal of the Ecological Society of America surveyed beetle kill stands. It had 14,000 trees and more than 100 stands, so it covered most of Colorado. And it showed that 86% of the trees that were affected by beetle kill are on their way to recovery. So we're actually doing pretty good in this sense of recovery because of efforts that have been made. Beetles only attack old, mature trees, so younger trees are safe. But as I said, many years from now, the problem will get bad again when these younger trees mature and become weak. And other things are slowing down recovery. younger trees that are regenerating these beetle kill forests are being eaten by deer and elk, so their growth is stunted and forests may not fully regrow. And some forests are even being converted into grasslands through this process. So if we're not careful, we're going to lose a lot of our alpine forests forever. However, there are things you can do to help. If you want to help stop climate change and keep the trees strong and healthy so they can fight the beetle kill, you can scan this QR code and go to POW, which is called Protect Our Winters, and they make efforts to basically, protect our winters. They fight climate change, they fight they fight acts that help climate change, and they try to pass laws that will regulate carbon. And this is another one. This is Conservation Colorado. They do similar things, except they work very locally. So if you want to help protect forests in Colorado and stop climate change in Colorado and help protect these, you can scan this one. And then this is the last one. This works in the San Juan Mountains, specifically working against beetle kill, and they help promote clean energy and clean energy acts, and they're a great one if you want to work locally. And those are the things you can do to help. Does anybody have questions?